you're looking for can't-miss speaking activities to add to your repertoire, watch this video. And if you're not a teacher, well, this is my everyday life as an expat in Asia, so I hope it doesn't bore you. Good morning. 2 weeks before classes begin here at Wuhan University, and I'm getting excited. I'm teaching public speaking and debate this semester, which is probably my favorite course to teach. And I'm, deep into the planning. I'm trying to figure out now what speaking activity to throw at them on the first day. If you're looking for can't-miss speaking activities to add to your repertoire, watch this video. And if you're not a teacher, well, this is my everyday life as an expat in Asia, so I hope it doesn't bore you. And if you have any comments or suggestions, please drop them in the comments below. And if you have any great speaking activities you'd like to share, I'd always love to add to my repertoire. So come on with me on my planning journey. As usual, it's very hot and sticky out here on my walk. I'm going to take you inside my apartment, if you don't mind, where I can set up the PowerPoint and explain the activities with some nice air conditioning. That's much better. All right, I'm thinking about one of two activities to use for my first day's class. I'm teaching public speaking and debate, and so my purpose is to get them talking on the first day and to get them talking in a way that will prepare them for the class. So one activity is an introductory activity, introduce yourself. However, I'm with second-year students. They've mostly been with each other. This is an elective, kind of a required elective. It's a little hard to explain. So there are going to be many students who know each other. So you have to keep that in mind. But the important thing about this introductory activity is that it will lead them to their first assignment, which I will tell them about in the second week, which will be an introductory speech. The second activity is to have all of my 30 or so students do a speech on the first day. Let me get started with the first one. The key to this activity is to find an interesting way for students to introduce themselves, both today and later when they're going to have to do their speeches. I show them this slide, 3 things you like and care about, 3 things you would do if you had an entire day off with no responsibilities. And I tell them to write down their choices. At this point, I also tell them that they have to be interesting. They can't be boring. They can't say, I like to sleep. You'd be amazed at how many students tell me that their number one activity is they like to sleep. When I've seen that they're pretty much done writing, I get the whole class into groups of 4. This is not always so easy because most of my classrooms have fixed seating, but it's doable, and then I move on. I then tell the students that they need to tell their group members 1 or 2 things off their list, take turns doing so. And the other group members who are listening must ask questions. So I want it to be more interactive than just one person talking. After I see that they've finished, I tell them that one of the group members needs to introduce the rest of the group to the whole class. This means there's only going to be about 7 speakers talking to the whole class rather than 30. And that's it. Depending on how much time you have in the class or how quickly the students are doing it, you can eliminate that last part about the group introductions to the whole class. Okay, so let's move on to the other option, which is the everyone does a speech on the first day. In this activity, I also put my students in groups of 4. I do that and then I show them the following slide. Before explaining the procedure of this activity, which is actually pretty self-explanatory, I want to talk about my reasoning. I like to throw my students into the deep end on the first day of class because I want them to understand that this is about them speaking. They're going to do a lot of talking in this class, and I like to get them, well, used to it on the first day. As you can see, the topics are all, well, they're the kind of topics where a student doesn't have to do any research to talk about. And that's key to this because it is a fairly impromptu speech. I say fairly because I give them 10 minutes to prepare. Tell them to pick one topic. You have 10 minutes to prepare, and then just send them out and watch them furiously write up a speech. What I don't tell them at this point is that they are only going to be telling their speeches to their group members and not to the entire class. I don't tell them, though, because I do want them to be furiously writing. I do want them to care, and I do want them to think that everyone in the class is going to be listening to them. Is that cruel? Actually, time permitting, I will have some students come to the front of the class and give their speeches. Let me explain. After the 10 minutes are up, and I usually give them another couple minutes because it's first day and they're not really minding the time, I tell them, okay, it's time to give your speeches. And then I call the names of one person from each group. Everyone that I call, please stand up. At this point, it's often 8 nervous people and 24 or so very relieved students. Anyway, I tell the 8 standing that it's their job to give their speeches to their 3 group members. Audible sigh of relief, and I just tell them to go do it. And then they're giving their speeches. I'm circulating, I'm listening in, and when I see that the last of the first group is finished, I call out 8 fresh names and repeat the process. Same thing with the 3rd series, repeat the process. But for the 4th series, that's when I call people to the front of the classroom. I do this for 2 reasons. The first being that I want to lower their anxiety level by not having to do their speech in front of the whole class. But, by the 4th round, their anxiety level is lower. And a lot of students actually really wanted to come to the front. I don't know which ones, but they all come, they all do it. They've all done speeches before, maybe only in Chinese language, but nonetheless, it's really a good exercise. The second reason is time. Time and boredom. If you have 32 students do speeches, it can be pretty repetitive, pretty boring, and pretty static. When you put them in groups, you get more people talking at one time and more people paying attention as listeners. And that's why it's a really good activity. All right. Those are my 2 options for the first day activities. What do you think? Which one should I choose? Anyway, I'm going to end this video now. For all you non-teachers out there, I hope that the video wasn't too boring, too dreadful. Nobody wants to go back to school. On the other hand, I guess if you made it this far, it was, tolerable. As I've said before, these videos are about my everyday life as an expat in Asia, and teaching, well, that's my everyday life. Anyway, I really want to thank you for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.